go to the camps in Panama or Costa Rica, you will not find Ghanaians there because of that opportunity they have. If you want to be hosted and to integrate in those transit countries, you can do that. And they have opted for that. So let me be clear, for the record, there are no Ghanaians currently in these detention camps in Panama and Costa Rica. The only two who made it there have opted to be integrated in those countries. And so we are fine on that score. We don't have anybody to visit in those detention camps. I believe that, Right Honorable Speaker, I have adequately responded to all the matters that have been raised. In conclusion, I want to emphasize that we are keeping an eye on their arrival, on their reintegration. We are following up. We are working with NADMO very closely. So we have their records. We call to check up on them regularly. And those who have arrived are doing fine. And as I said, we are looking at the budgetary allocations that have been made. When we get your approval, we'll look at skills training, how to support them, those who may want to start up. Because the way they were arrested, they couldn't even have access to their savings, they couldn't have access to their valuables. It was all done in a very rushed manner. And so we would need to extend support services to them. And I can give you that firm assurance that we will do that. We continue to look out for them. We will not abandon them. They are our fellow compatriots, and we are here to serve them. And that is the philosophy guiding the whole attitude towards their return and reintegration. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. On behalf of the House, I express our gratitude for you attending upon the House and making this valuable statement in apprising the House on the deportation of Ghanaian citizens in the United States of America and related matters. Once again, thank you. Honour members, question numbered 40, 63, and 64 are directed at the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs. And once the order paper addendum is ready and it's been loaded on the console for some time, can we proceed to take that question by coming back to item number 6 on today's order paper? Yes, Honorable Minority Chief.
Speaker, with respect, as you do recall, we engaged at conclave. I recognize the Minister is here, and as he's delivered the statement, ordinarily we should allow him to proceed to take the question. Speaker, we stand in breach of Order 208. Speaker, I had apprised you the need for us to make some amendments to the composed committees. So if it finds favor with you, I think we can quickly do that. I'm going to make this application to you if we can quickly do that before we proceed. Because we got the estimate are going to be considered by the various committees. And we have instances where some members belong to only a committee, which is in breach of Order 208. So if you may permit me, let's do those amendments before we proceed to take the questions.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Majority Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, this was actually discussed, pre-sitting, I think, in the conclave. And I think the agreement was that it cannot be done, with the current vote and proceedings. So it will have to come as a motion. And that will be done tomorrow after putting the reports and lay it tomorrow. So I think suggestion is that we'll do that tomorrow. Thank you.
Very well.
Speaker, with respect to mine, you can appeal. No, that was not the decision. Speaker, the day the Right Honorable Speaker presided, check the records. When we were correcting the vote, the Right Honorable Speaker intentionally left out those pages which contain the committees. And the advice was that he's spoken to the two whips, and the agreement, we've reached the agreement that we'll find an appropriate day. We were supposed to take it yesterday, and the chief whip pleaded with me, and I acceded that we should make it today. So don't tell me I should come by motion. No, leader, with respect to you. If it's by motion, the speaker would have advised. Is it by motion? We can correct it here, because we have given prior notification to the speaker, and the speaker himself had directed. Where from this your motion?
The vote and proceedings today and even yesterday, we've approved both. So you cannot do it through the votes and proceedings, Mr. Speaker. That is the whole idea, that we think the report should be put together. You do your amendment, and then tomorrow. Yes. So,
honorable members, I guess the pages containing the composition of the committees has been left out because of certain irregularities that needed to be addressed by the leaders. I sense that the real composition is not ready. That is why they are seeking to do that for tomorrow. So, minority chief whip, just bear with them so that tomorrow we'll effectively deal with the issue. And then I urge the majority chief whip to also timely work on whatever corrections that needed to be done so that holistically we can take both sides tomorrow. Yes.
Speaker, we are amenable, no problem, but Hansard will bear me out that you said tomorrow. Let's stick to tomorrow. We don't want tomorrow comes and you say next week. I hope you won't do that. I hope you won't do that. Speaker, we are in agreement.
Well, I will also urge leaders to work on the delegations so that we can also take that tomorrow. Minority chief whip, please let's quickly work on the delegations and then the groups so that we can as well take that tomorrow. So, honorable members, we'll then come back to item number 6 on today's order paper and go to question number 40 in the name of Honorable Vincent Eko Asafua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would want to ask the Minister for Foreign Affairs the plans of the government to ensure the accessibility of the chip-embedded passport launched by the previous government on December 2nd, 2024.
Honourable Minister, you have the floor.
Most grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's an honor to appear before this House to respond to parliamentary questions. Right now, Speaker, Ghana's journey with chip-embedded passport began in 2010, where biometric passports were introduced, which should have featured a microchip embedded with the holder's biometric data, including fingerprint and facial recognition, but chip aspect was left out during the production. The plan to include chip was reactivated in 2016, but could not take place. Mr. Speaker, since it was a laudable idea to introduce chip in our passports, the previous administration in 2018 established Passport Chip Embedded Implementation Committee to ensure that the new passport is birthed. So they farmed out a portion to a private partner under a PPP arrangement. The introduction of the chip embedded passport aligns with the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, standards, specifically ICAO Document 9303, which provides guidelines for implementing machine-readable travel documents and e-passports. This modernization effort is designed to enhance border security, reduce identity fraud, and streamline international travel for our citizens. Right, Honourable Speaker, to ensure accessibility for all eligible citizens, the government has developed a comprehensive implementation strategy inspired by best practices from other African nations that have successfully rolled out chip-embedded passports, including Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria. The strategies include the following key measures. 1, decentralization of passport enrollment and issuance. 9 out of the 16 regions currently have passport offices. The office of the Upper East region, that's Bolgatanga, is expected to become operational later this year. The government intends to expand passport application centers to the remaining 6 outstanding regions. Those are the newly created regions, ensuring that citizens do not have to travel long distances to apply for their passports. For our citizens outside Ghana, all Ghanaian embassies and consulates are equipped to provide similar services to our compatriots abroad. Mobile passport application centers are also utilized to provide door-to-door passport services to Ghanaian communities abroad. Additionally, mobile biometric registration units can be deployed to remote locations to facilitate enrollment for those who may face challenges accessing passport offices. As honorable members may attest, my ministry recently established a studio here in Parliament to process diplomatic passports for members of Parliament. Enhance digital services for convenience. Right, Honourable Speaker, we are currently, as part of our ongoing passport reforms, integrating an online passport application system, payment and appointment to allow for citizens to initiate their applications from anywhere, reducing congestion at our passport offices. A passport application tracking system will also be introduced to keep applicants informed about the process of their applications. The system will be linked to the National Identification Authority database so that all personal information of applicants is transferred automatically directly onto the NIA system to the passport office system via the confirmation of the Ghana card number and biometric verification. Any changes to personal information such as name, date of birth, or place of birth will be done at the NIA through an update of records with appropriate documents. Right, Honourable Speaker, a nationwide sensitization campaign will be launched this month to educate the public on the benefits, security features, and application processes for the new passport. Special focus will be placed on engaging communities in rural areas and vulnerable groups to ensure that they are not left behind. Affordability and phased implementation. Right, Honourable Speaker, the government recognizes concerns about the affordability of the new passport and is committed to ensuring that the cost remains reasonable while maintaining high security standards. In our efforts to make passports more accessible to all Ghanaians and per instructions I have received from His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, we are pleased to announce a reduction in the cost of the ordinary passport booklet, that is the 32-page booklet, from the 500 Ghana cedis to 350 Ghana cedis. We will in the coming days be presenting an amendment to the fees and charges to ensure that this reduction is approved by the House from 500 Ghana cedis down to 350 Ghana cedis. That is the new policy position of the Mahama administration. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you might have read that a passport reform committee has been set up to study and review the contract which we inherited. That review is underway, and indeed all the partners are meeting tomorrow to conclude the exercise of the review. When the review of the contract is done, we will move into a phase-out rollout of the chip-embedded passports, and we expect a smooth transition from the current biometric passports to the chip-embedded passports. It is useful, Mr. Speaker, to add that we are also introducing a 24-hour passport service. The 24-hour passport service will also come with a door-to-door delivery, ensuring greater convenience, efficiency, and customer satisfaction. Applicants can now apply at any time during the day, including outside the regular working hours, and have their passports delivered securely to their doorstep, eliminating the need for in-person collection. We think that in the 21st century, when you apply for your passport and you indicate that you want it delivered to you, courier services should be able to deliver to you. You don't have to go through the stress of going back to the passport application center. So Ghanaians are going to have their passports delivered to them at locations of their choice once they indicate during the application where they want their passports delivered. Mr. Speaker, applicants must provide accurate addresses and contact details to facilitate a seamless delivery. In partnership with reputable courier providers, the ministry guarantees secure and reliable passport distribution. The ministry remains committed to enhancing accessibility and efficiency in passport services for all citizens. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, through these measures, the government remains committed to ensuring that the chip-embedded passport is accessible, efficient, and beneficial to all citizens, in line with international best practices and our national development agenda. So by the month of April, next month, within the month of April, the good people of Ghana can expect a seamless transition from the current passports to chip-embedded passports within the month of April. That is the full assurance I can give to honorable members. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Any supplementary question?
Honorable Speaker, let me thank the Minister for a well-researched answer, except to add another question to it. Honorable Minister, I hold in my hands the committee report of the Foreign Affairs on the 2024 budget estimates of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. In that report, there was a proposal for the review of the passport fees, which proposal indicated that the cost of producing a passport is 400 Ghana cedis. The cost of producing a 32-page passport is 400 Ghana cedis. On this floor, you have indicated that the amount, or if you like, the price of the 500 Ghana cedis that is paid for a passport is to be reduced to 350 Ghana cedis. How are you going to make up for the loss of the 50 Ghana cedis? And per my indication, I do not see budget lines to take up that 50 Ghana cedis that you are reducing it to. Can you let this House know how you are going to deal with the 50 Ghana cedis?
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
I'm grateful, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to respond to the Honourable Asafua's supplementary question. As ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee at the time, I recall that we asked for details, for evidence of the supposed government subsidy at the time. We did not receive it. having gone to the ministry, I still haven't seen evidence that we were subsidizing passports. Some figures were put out, but there was no supporting evidence. And the work we have done with our colleagues at the ministry, we are confident that the 350 Ghana cedis will not put us in any indebtedness. There will be no loss to the state. We will not be causing financial loss and will not require subsidies. We will not have to subsidize. And don't forget that this 350 cedis is still an increment from the previous 100 Ghana cedis at the time that this PPP arrangement was negotiated. So we have seen a jump from 100 cedis to 500 cedis the last time the increment occurred. And you recall that my position at the time as ranking member is that having one increment, such a quantum leap from 100 cedis to 500 cedis, was just unconscionable, and it was too draconian. And you could tell that the Ghanaian people have not received this well. There's been a lot of considerable agitation across the length and breadth of our country. And as MPs, we can all confirm our constituents are complaining about the high increment from 100 to 500. That is why the new Mahama administration is saying that we have listened to Ghanaians. We want to make our passports more affordable. When we make it affordable, we believe that Ghanaians will even access it more, and there will be an eventual benefit, a win-win situation for all. So be assured that there will be no indebtedness, there will be no need for subsidies, and there will be no shortfall requiring an allocation in the budget. The 350 cedis is a good reduction that the good people of Ghana deserve. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any further supplementary question?
Right Honorable Speaker, I am quite surprised to hear from the Minister that there's no basis or no documentation to support the 400 Ghana cedis that has been stated in a committee report, a committee that he was the ranking member to. But I will not litigate it. But the impression I'm getting here is that the 400 Ghana cedis that was given
Honorable Asafwa, you are to ask a supplementary question.
By the passport office is not something that has any basis. That is the indication you are getting in this house. But I will go on with my second question. My second question to the Honorable Minister is from his own answer. The basis is from his own answer. If you check paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, paragraph 9, you said, additionally, mobile biometric registration units can be deployed to remote locations to facilitate enrollment for those who may face challenges accessing passport offices. As honorable members may attest, your ministry recently established a studio here in Parliament to process passports for members of Parliament. My question to you is, with respect to persons who are in urgent need of passport, who may be found in our various hospitals, what are your plans to deal with such requests? Are you going to collaborate with the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Service, so that it will not be an issue of whom you know? I am hearing that there are some persons who will be in need of passports at a time, and they may not be able to get any support from the passport office, because the passport office will tell them that even with the mobile facilities, they may have to go to a certain point. How are you going to deal with the Ministry of Health to be able to make sure that such persons can be supported or assisted to be able to get the passports, even at the hospitals?
I'm grateful, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to respond to Honourable Asafwa's second supplementary question. It's a very important question on the mobile services that the passport Office is currently rendering. And Mr. Speaker, I'm sure that you'll be happy to hear that apart from the deployment we did recently for members of parliament, there is currently ongoing, as we speak, a special deployment we have done at the Hajj village. So our Muslim brothers and sisters who have to perform that important pillar of Islam, they don't have to stress to go to the passport application centers. We have set up an application center for them at the Hajj village. And so it's another evidence of the reforms and the dynamism that we are introducing. For people who need urgent passports on medical grounds, as the Honorable Asifwa has raised, I want to draw attention to the fact that as part of the services that the Passport Office carries out, is a service known as expedited service. So for those with emergencies, those who probably medical emergency, business emergency, a student who has to meet a timeline, we have in the structure of the services that the Passport Office renders what is known as expedited service. You pay a little more, and then you can have your passport within the same week. So that expedited service is available, and we will urge. I think that sometimes it's probably lack of public education, public awareness. So we are intensifying that so that Ghanaians will know, nurses, doctors who are attending to these patients who may have to fly them out can make themselves available for this service. So we have the expedited service, which takes care of emergencies, and that is available in those circumstances. In terms of whether we can create an avenue where these expedited services can be made mobile and relocated to hospitals, because you are not too sure where the emergency call will come from. I think that it's better for us to maintain the expedited arrangement so that once you call and there's evidence that this is a medical emergency, then our people will respond promptly. And I can tell you that the Passport Office is doing very well. Our staff there, they are very responsive. There was an expedited case this week. One of our colleagues needed a passport done the same day, within 24 hours. And our colleague can confirm that we were able to do that. Our Passport Office is really delivering, and they are very efficient. And so I think that the emergencies that our people will require in those times, they can rely on the expedited service to solve those problems. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Asafwa, your last supplementary question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I must commend the Minister. This is a huge relief for persons who sometimes on medical grounds suffer to be able to attain passport, except to add that when such requests come, we have to find a way where Ghana Health Service will have a role to play, so that even if you don't know anybody in political office, you would be able to be attended to. My last question to you stems from the committee report in 2022 of the Foreign Affairs Ministry, the Foreign Affairs Committee, the 2022 annual budget estimates of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. And item number 14.2, chip embedded passport. I'll read the second paragraph. The committee was informed that the project will be executed in partnership with a private company within a 10-year period, and the total cost of rolling out the project for the first year is $23 million. The profit sharing structure for the first 4 years is 30% for government and 70% for the private entity. For the subsequent 6 years, it is expected to be 35% for government and 65% for the private entity. The weighted average cost of the capital is rated at 9.75 So, Minister, my question to you is that at least this is the terms of the contract that is existing. In the event that you finally roll out the chip-embedded passport, maybe somewhere around this year, are you going to maintain these terms of the contract between the government and the private sector? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I did say in my response to an earlier question that the contract is currently under review, and we have a crucial meeting tomorrow. I'm very transparent. I have indicated that I think that we can do something about those terms, and the government of Ghana can be in a better position than what has been earlier negotiated. Because we have not concluded the review, but we are pushing towards better terms for government. As it is now, it's skewed 70-30, 60-40 in favor of the private investors. But we are reviewing and pushing for better terms. So since we have not concluded, I do not want to preempt the negotiations. But just to say that we are fighting hard in the national interest for some better terms for the government and people of Ghana. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Patrick Yabwama, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, in your answer, you spoke about the principles of reasonability and affordability as the driving force to your quest to reduce the passports from 500 Ghana cedis to 350 Ghana cedis, subject to an amendment to the Fees and Charges and Miscellaneous Act that the Minister of Finance will be presenting to this House. But you cannot, Mr. Speaker, my question is, a minister cannot review the contract without the Attorney General's involvement. Two, what I know, Mr. Minister, is that a transaction advisor has been requested by you, by your ministry, to provide scenarios for the extension of the contract under which is being operated from 10 to 12 years to give you an indication whether you can take care of their losses or their profitability levels. One, because you haven't seen the scenarios. Two, you are going to be looking at the operating cost, maintenance cost, the software and staff and other resources that the PPP arrangement has put in place. So my question to you is that you not having gone through the scenarios, not a review, how sure are you that you are telling the good people of this country the truth that you want to reduce passport price from 500 cedis to Ghana, 350 Ghana cedis? Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are a number of issues that the Honourable Patrick Boama raised. The review of the contract. I can assure the Honourable Patrick Boama that certainly the Attorney General's opinion will be sought. At this point, we are negotiating, and certainly the Attorney General, I've told you that it's under review. We have not concluded. I made that point clear, that we have not concluded the review. Once we conclude, it will be sent to the Attorney General for the Attorney General's final advice. On pricing, I can assure you that we have spoken with the transaction advisor and we've looked at all the modeling. So when you work on the fees, it will have some possible impact on the duration of the PPP arrangement. So we have analyzed all of that. But the firm assurance I can give you is that what we'll be presenting to this House, the Fees and Charges Amendment, you will see a reduction from 500 to 350. That We have agreed. We are not compromising on that. And it is a fait accompli. Nothing is going to change about the fees. What may change in the review process is the duration. Do you do 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, 13 years? But as for the pricing, you know, because there are two factors. Once you hold one constant, the price, the 350 cedis, you have flexibility to deal with the other factor. So you can be well assured. You can be well assured. As for 350 cedis, we are not compromising. We are not compromising on that aspect. We are here for the Ghanaian people, and we must ameliorate their plight. Thank you very much.
Honorable Member for Kumbugu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. And then let me commend the Minister for tackling the challenges of the passport industry head on. My quick question is, what plans do you have to decentralize the passport services at the district level?
Well, thank you very much. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the plan now is to regionalize and make sure we have passport application centers in all the 16 regions of Ghana. We do not currently have plans to have district offices. We take the view that the reforms we are carrying out, the delivery, the 24-hour operations, reducing the waiting period and all of that should suffice. Once you have regional offices, the courier service will make sure that your passport is delivered to you wherever you are in the region. So we do not think that it will be good use of taxpayer resources to say we are going to be building district offices. We think that the regional offices should be enough. It should suffice so that the courier services will then carry out the remaining legwork, make sure that you get your passport. Prudent use of taxpayer funds to say we are going to build district offices across our 276 districts or constituencies in Ghana. We just want to build the regional passport application centers and then do the mobile delivery through courier service. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Honorable former Minister.
Okay. Okay, I would like to know from the Minister when you will start printing the booklets in the regions instead of only in Accra.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important question. The contract I have seen so far, the printing is centralized, even for those outside the country, our missions abroad, they have to rely on Accra, the headquarters, for the printing. Because it's a security document and because it's chip embedded, how sensitive it is, I have been told by the experts that it is advisable that it remains centralized. But what we should do is to strengthen the delivery network so that once it's printed, it can be delivered across the country and then to our compatriots abroad using our embassies in an efficient manner. So since the experts have advised that we should keep the printing centralized, I want to go with that. And I think that what we should now focus on is to make sure that the delivery is done in good time so that particularly those who may need expedited service, they do not have challenges so that they can get their passports in good time when they require them. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I'll give the floor to Honorable Francis Xavier Soso.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the answers of the Honorable Minister, he has justified the major policy shift from 500 cedis cost of passports to 350 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, I would want the minister to elaborate what may have, what factors really justified this major policy shift, because changing the price of passports from 500 to 350 is a major one. Would we lose revenue by doing that, or are we going to get more revenues by doing that? If the minister could elaborate what factors led to this major shift in the change of prices. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the overarching factor is affordability. We have received numerous complaints from the good people of this country about the high fees. And you recall there was quite an uproar and an outrage when the new fees came into effect. And so we are responding to the concerns of the people as a listening government. The analysis we have done in terms of the cost to the country, we believe that with this reduction, many more people are going to now apply for passports and renew their passports. And ultimately, looking at the figures, it will rather bring in more revenue. So we are not going to have revenue losses at all. On the contrary, because it's going to lead to an uptick, many more Ghanaians are now who are staying away. And so we're not getting the numbers as anticipated. We now are going to have higher volumes. And with these higher volumes, we would rather rake in more revenue for our country. So we've done the analysis, and it's a win-win situation. We'll benefit in terms of the national coffers, and then the affordability concerns of Ghanaians will also have been addressed. So I don't see any loser in this equation. Even for the private partners, they would also eventually find this beneficial, because it will also increase their profit margins. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minority Chief Whip. Minority Chief Whip, you have the floor. Leadership should wind up. We have two more questions.
Speaker, let me take the minister back to parts of his own answers, I think paragraph 5, as answers to question 45, introducing 24-hour passport services with door-to-door delivery. Speaker, the minister do know that the government is yet to bring a policy on the 24-hour economy to Parliament. I am also aware, up to this stage, we don't have a definite explanation what the 24-hour economy is all about. In fact, then candidate John Mahama says the 24-hour economy is not compulsory. My question to the minister is, now that we don't have a definite policy, what are you anchoring your 24-hour passport delivery on? Because we don't have a definite policy yet. We are told they are yet to bring it to Parliament. So what are you anchoring this on? And he also mentioned expedited action or services. And he says the reason for the reduction is for affordability. But he also says the expedited service would have to be paid for. Why won't government be absolute in terms of bearing costs if you are reducing from 500 to 300 plus or 300? And then on the expedited service delivery, you are saying that people have to bear the cost. Is it a question of you picking and choosing or not sure of what to do?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Well, I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Minority Chief Whip will agree with me when I say that there is a recent example that they have demonstrated in this country. They implemented free SHS successfully without a policy and a law. And after many years, they came here a few weeks ago, before the elections of 2024, they came to this house saying that they want us to support them with a law, long after they have implemented. So that scenario teaches us that it is very possible to implement government programs without a policy blueprint or without a law. It is very, very possible. So there is no need to say that you haven't seen a policy or a blueprint, and so we cannot go ahead with our 24-hour services. Your own example teaches us that. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I can assure the Honorable Minority Chief Whip that very soon you are going to see the 24-hour blueprint. It's a very, very exciting policy. The TUC has called it a game changer. AGI is excited about 24-hour. And we don't know what is complex about 24 hours. Ghanaians working 3 shifts, increasing productivity, creating more jobs for our people. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. It is as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And Mr. Speaker, I can assure you that the Passport Office will implement the 24-hour operation very successfully. The second aspect of your question to do with expedited service. For expedited service is really a service that is in the fees and charges arrangement already for those who want to pay more. Normally for entrepreneurs, business moguls, and it is even those who want a fatter booklet, probably the 48 pages, they normally utilize that service. And once you are paying more, you are getting more pages, and you are getting your passports less than 3 days. I believe that it's good if you pay a little more for the premium service. So we are not discriminating at all. It is those in the elite category who feel that they have the means to pay for more, they are using that service. But you know, under the 24-hour service, once we roll it out, and you can get your passport within a week, within 5 days, I'm sure that there wouldn't even be any difference really between getting your ordinary passports and then going for expedited service. So this is a clear confirmation that the 24-hour policy is a game changer. It works and it's in the benefit of the people. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Majority Leader. Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, no question at all.
Honourable members, we proceed to ask question number 63, standing in the name of Honourable Frank Asiedu Bakwin. So whom?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I'd like to know from the minister. I'd like to know from the minister how Ghana intends to reconcile the new alliance of Sahel states, AES, with ECOWAS, taking into cognizance the foreign policy of Ghana, i.e. Pan-Africanism, good neighborliness, and non-alignment and multilateralism. Thank you.
Well, Right Honourable Speaker, I want to commend the Honourable Member for this very important question. We are the pioneers of a united Africa, and our people form a cardinal part of our foreign policy. We are also founding members of ECOWAS, and that is why this year the heads of state have decided that the ECOWAS at 50 celebrations should start here in Accra, and it will be launched next month to herald the ECOWAS at 50 celebrations. We also have to be cognizant of the fact that Article 40 of the 1992 Constitution enjoins us that in pursuit of our international relations, we should promote and protect the national interest of Ghana. And that is the foundation, the principle that guides our foreign policy. Mr. Speaker, the evolving relationship between the ECOWAS and the newly formed Alliance of Sahel States, AES, is a matter of great significance to the sub-region. Ghana remains firmly committed to the ideals of regional unity, peace, security, and economic cooperation. Ghana recognizes the need for diplomatic engagement to bridge the current divide and prevent further fragmentation within West Africa. Despite the AES country's formal withdrawal from ECOWAS, which was finalized at the end of January 2025, free movement of people, goods, and services remains intact. As confirmed by both ECOWAS and AES member states, trade under the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme continues, and AES passports remain recognized. Additionally, ECOWAS-funded development projects in AES countries will not be disrupted, ensuring continued economic and infrastructural support. Security cooperation remains a shared priority, particularly in the fight against terrorism, violent extremism, and money laundering. The Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, of which Ghana is a member, will maintain its collaboration with AES nations. AES countries have already applied for a 6-month extension to formalize their GIABA membership processes. ECOWAS has also granted AES nations a 6-month grace period until July 2025 to reconsider their decision to leave, with the ECOWAS Commissioner for Peace and Security urging them to explore the possibility of rejoining as a bloc. Diplomatic engagements between ECOWAS and AES are ongoing to facilitate cooperation and potential reintegration. You may recall, Mr. Speaker, that Ghana's foreign policy has always been guided by the principles of Pan-Africanism, good neighborliness, non-alignment, and multilateralism. These values continue to shape the country's approach as we work to restore trust, foster reconciliation, and promote a common vision for regional development and stability. Mr. Speaker, I have outlined in greater detail the building blocks for these ideals, and for the sake of time, I will ask that Hansard captures all of these principles and how they have been further expatiated upon. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's role as a bridge in regional unity. Ghana remains fully committed to peace, security, and economic prosperity in West Africa. His Excellency President John Dramani Mahamad's diplomatic outreach to the Sahel states and his engagements with key leaders in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali reflects Ghana's dedication to fostering dialogue, rebuilding trust, and preventing further division within the sub-region. Ghana will therefore continue to champion dialogue, economic cooperation, and security collaboration among all West African nations. The sub-region's future must be built on partnership, not division, cooperation, not conflict. Ghana will therefore work closely with our brothers and sisters in the AES to rebuild trust, restore good neighborliness, and reaffirm our commitment to a stronger, united West Africa. Ghana stands ready to serve as a bridge for reconciliation and cooperation. Given Ghana's diplomatic influence, it is well positioned to support renewed dialogue and encourage collaboration between ECOWAS and AES nations. As a nation committed to Pan-Africanism, good neighborliness, regional integration, and multilateralism, Ghana will continue to champion constructive engagement, economic cooperation, and security collaboration, ensuring a stable and prosperous future for all West African nations. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Any supplementary?
Sure. I would like to know from the Minister, the previous administration instituted the Accra Initiative. What the Accra Initiative aims to prevent the spillover of terrorism from these Sahel states and to address transnational organized crimes and violent extremism. With the appointment of a new envoy to the AES from Ghana, what is the fate of the Accra Initiative?
Honourable Minister.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member is right that the Accra Initiative is a very strategic intervention that was carried out by the former administration. Ghana spearheaded it, but got 7 other countries to come on board, largely as a security and intelligence gathering platform to fight violent extremism and to also carry out counter-terrorism because of the threat of insecurity coming down south from the Sahel, particularly after the overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya. The challenge with the Accra Initiative now has been funding and the commitment of member countries to fully support this. There are some countries that are quite hesitant in welcoming the platform and working with the Accra Initiative. But I can assure you that we remain open to any intervention which will be a multilateral intervention, bringing all our international partners on board, because the threat of terrorism, extremism, money laundering is not a threat that only one country can handle. You need all your international partners to come on board, to work with you to combat that and defeat that. If you go in isolation, you will not succeed. You need a concerted multilateral approach. So we remain open to that initiative and that approach. That really is how to fight these global threats. Having said that, the appointment of the special envoy, Lieutenant Colonel Larry Bevlo-Latte, is not to undermine the work of the Accra Initiative. Rather, that will help to enhance the prospects. It is to create a channel of dialogue so that we can pay particular attention to these AES countries, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. And because we are the closest neighbor, and we need to make sure that we are not overtaken by events, the extremism going there, the terrorism that is taking large parts of that country. The president, in his wisdom, thought that we should have a special envoy so that we can have a dedicated, effort at bridging the gap, making sure that we keep talking. Because remember that even ECOWAS has a special envoy dealing with these AES countries, trying to, negotiate with them, dialogue with them to get them back into the fold. So as the closest neighbor with all the historical ties, same ethnic groups and trade, our truck drivers on a daily basis traveling to and fro, and there's free movement of people. We need to keep engaging, and that is why the special envoy has been appointed. But have our fullest assurances that his work will not undermine the Accra Initiative. It will also not undermine efforts of the government and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to make sure that we keep engaging with these countries. To suffice, it will rather enhance all of these objectives so that we can work together to achieve continental African unity, which remains the dream of all of us, right from our founding fathers.
Any further supplementary?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Last week, I saw the Honorable Minister and the President in these 3 Sahelian states. I would like to know from the Minister, what really has the President done to assure Ghana and ECOWAS that these trials will come back to ECOWAS in the shortest possible time?
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the matter the Honourable Bequin has raised is a matter that requires a lot of circumspection, a lot of tact, and a lot of diplomacy. These 3 member countries are entitled to their own self-determination. They are sovereign countries. Another president cannot come from another country and dictate to them, tell them what to do. So we have to be very careful. I think that the approach of the president really is to keep the dialogue channels open, to keep engaging, and as the engagements continue, and we all see that it's better to work together instead of going alone, and that there is much more we can achieve when we are together and united. I'm sure that a roadmap will evolve towards the hopes and aspirations that we are all seeking, that ultimately, I think that will help us to achieve the democratic ethos that we all want to see within these countries. But because of the principles of sovereignty, of self-determination, I think that we should accord those 3 countries that, and then ECOWAS should continue to engage. The president's good relations, right from his investiture when they attended, and he going back there this week to thank them and to continue to engage at the bilateral level. I think now ECOWAS has an opportunity in President Mahama, because they said it when he visited, that he's the first non-AES president to come visit and to receive such, a reception. So I think ECOWAS and the AU can now leverage on that opportunity that President Mahama has provided to keep the dialogue channels open, even as we all concede that they have their sovereignty and they have their right to respect, and we must respect their right to self-determination and all of that. But I think that the prospects are good, they are looking positive, and it's good that Ghana is giving the continent that hope and that channel of dialogue. And I think that it gives us that great advantage that we need to move forward with the dialogue.
Remember the last supplementary question.
Last but not least, thank you, Mr. Speaker. In all these enterprise, where did Ghana and ECOWAS go wrong? As far as the moving away by the AES from the ECOWAS is concerned, where did Ghana and ECOWAS go wrong? Did we do anything bad that spoiled the relationship between ECOWAS and these three countries? Did ECOWAS and Ghana do anything bad?
No, Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I said, these are sovereign countries taking their own decisions, their right to self-determination, and their right to chart whatever path that they consider to be in their national interest. So I don't think it is a matter of who may have done a wrong thing or who may have carried out any misstep. At this point, I think that we should not pursue a path of blame games. Let us open a fresh page and let us commit to dialoguing, to working together, and being guided that when we come together, I mean, ECOWAS, when we are together, we're talking about a market of about 400 million, and if we decide to trade amongst ourselves, if we decide to really go back to the ECOWAS protocols and create opportunities for our young people, I mean, the potential is enormous and is really boundless. So at this point, I would not want us to engage in any blame game. Let's rather open fresh pages and get everybody to the negotiating table, and let's see what the future will be for ECOWAS and AES.
Honorable Nitiwul.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I want to ask him a supplementary question, but I'm quoting from your answer. You say that despite the AES countries' former withdrawal from ECOWAS, which was formalized at the end of January 2025, free movement and place emphasis on free movement of people, goods, and services remain intact, as confirmed by ECOWAS and the AES member states. As you may be aware, Honorable Minister, the only protocol allowing ECOWAS members to stay in Ghana was signed in 2014 in Abuja by President John Mahama. And that means that if you're an ECOWAS passport holder, you can stay in Ghana without looking for the normal 3 months visas and renewing and that kind of stuff. In fact, Honorable Minister, you are also aware that ECOWAS released the statement saying member states should recognize their passports, that the AES member countries, the passports that they are holding. That means that it applies to the 2014 protocol. Are you saying that if an individual is holding an AES passport, that person is allowed to stay in Ghana and enjoy the rights that an ECOWAS member enjoys, even though he's not holding the ECOWAS passport? Is that what you are saying?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Nitiwul has raised a matter about passports. That's why I said at the beginning of my response that we have always been pioneers for a united Africa, for full integration. We want a borderless region where all these artificial borders from the Berlin Conference will be removed so that you can move freely. We espoused this 1975 and even earlier. 1975, ECOWAS was formed even much earlier. Kwame Nkrumah's vision, Africa must unite. So we take the view that it is consistent with those ideals to just respect all of these passports and consider the fact that these are fundamentally our brothers and sisters. they are already here with us. We belong to the same ethnic group, and even without the AES passports, if they are to use ECOWAS passports, they are allowed free movement to come into Ghana and to be here, as long as they want to be here. So we are in a period of transition, of talking to each other, of dialoguing. And there is even a suggestion recently by the ECOWAS to even get the AES to join ECOWAS as a bloc, not as individual member countries. That is the latest, offer that has been made to AES, which they are considering. And that is a strong possibility. From what we are gathering, they will even prefer that, to rejoin ECOWAS as a bloc than as individual, countries, separate countries. So I think that consistent with our ideals and our, status as founding fathers of regional integration, I think we should be open to them, and that is our approach now. But let's keep negotiating, let's keep talking, and let us unite. There's more as that we stand to gain as united countries than dividing our ranks. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Minister is communicating
Honorable
to the immigration
member,
officers.
how many supplementary questions are you entitled to? You know the rules.
No,
You
it's the
know
same
the
question.
rules.
But, Mr. Speaker, it's the same
Honorable
question.
member, you know the rules.
I know. But, Mr. Speaker, he's communicating to immigration officers. This is a serious matter.
Honorable Natiwood, you know the rules.
Thank
so
you.
let's go by the rules.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll give it to
Thank you
somebody to
very
answer.
much.
Thank you.
Yes, honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. To the Honorable Minister, considering the position taken by the government, I want to know how Ghana intends to advocate for good governance and democratic principles within the AES whilst maintaining our commitment to ECOWAS, considering the recent coup in the Sahel regions. Thank you very much.
Yes, honorable minister.
Well, I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker, to respond clearly to the honourable colleague. Ghana remains committed to good governance, to the ideals of the rule of law, the rule-based order, and all of these democratic values which are time-tested, which we should not compromise on. In opening dialogue and serving as a bridge for unity, we are not, in our considered opinion, undermining these principles. Rather, we are taking advantage of these principles to have a united Africa and to have a roadmap towards full democratization, which should evolve with time. So we take the view that it is in our strategic national interest to keep engaging. We shouldn't, because of these democratic values, say that we will not engage them. We must keep engaging, and with our model, with the example that they see in us, it will help with their own transition onto a democratic path. So that is the strategy we have adopted. We think that this ultimately will help in the restoration of the democratic order in those three countries.
Honorable John Daku, then I'll come to leadership.
Honorable Minister, following from that, I would like to find out, first of all, whether we have that clear roadmap and whether we have that clear roadmap to democratization. In your earlier submission, you mentioned that the engagement with these AES member states, you've seen that the prospects are very good. And clearly, I want to understand, when you say the prospects are good, do you mean that they have now agreed to lay down their arms and now to take the path of democratization?
Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the honourable colleague has asked a very important question. When I talk about the prospects being good, let's remember where we have come from. We have come from a point where nobody could engage, no leader could be given access. None of the neighbors of these AES countries could even be entertained, be allowed to come speak with them and all of that. To where we are now, where President Mahama has been given access, he has been granted audience, and dialogue has opened, engagements are going on. So you can see a marked departure from where we are. And those are signs that the prospects are good. And as the dialogue channels remain open, then we can begin discussions about how we trade better, how we lift some of the initial blockades that they imposed towards also eventually a democratic transition and all of that. So that's what I mean by the prospects are good. If you take into cognizance where we have come from, what the situation was. I mean, this is the first time that they are opening up to a president outside the AES bloc. And so that's what I mean by the prospects being good. And I am quite confident that as these negotiations go on, next week, President Mahama will be in Nigeria to discuss. President Tinubu has asked for a report on how things have gone. They are all quite excited about the dialogue channels that have been opened. He will be presenting a report to the ECOWAS leader, and then ECOWAS will be acting on that. So I think that it's better. You remember what happened? There was a time that even an ECOWAS emissary was returned. He was asked to go back, that they were not going to talk to him. So I think that we are making progress, no matter how small, but in diplomacy, it can take a long time, but at least we can count a few successes, and I think that it gives a good opening towards a full democratization of the sub-region. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, leadership. Very well, Honorable Aframpong.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to find out from the minister if what he's telling us that these citizens from these countries, Saharan countries, holding the passports of that organization, can come and stay in Ghana without going through the ECOWAS protocols. Is he telling us that this thing, he has the authority of the president to say this to us in Parliament? Is that the official position? That's what I want to find out. Is that the official position?
Honorable Minister.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. I have said that there is already a lot of free movement. I have said that ECOWAS has not placed any ban on any national of whether ECOWAS or if you are from the AES bloc. You are allowed to travel. You can travel into Ghana, travel into Nigeria, and that is already going on. And we have heard about the prospects of an AES passport. That has not yet been done. They have not yet outdoored that AES passport. But for now, our immigration officials know that they can admit people from Burkina Faso, from Mali, from Niger. They can come into Ghana. They are free to travel. you know, yeah, ECOWAS passport, if it's whatever, Niger passport, Mali passport. But the AES passport has not yet been outlawed. That is not existing. It's not existing now. So that question doesn't arise. But you can't stop a fellow, you know, ECOWAS national from Burkina Faso, from Mali, from Niger. They are allowed to enter into our country. They are also allowed, you know, to travel anywhere within ECOWAS. ECOWAS has not stopped them from traveling and from taking advantage of the free movement protocols. So that's the clarity that I want to provide.
Mr. Speaker, is it
Honorable member, you also know the rule. You also know the rule. So kindly resume your seat. Leadership.
Thank you.
Very well, very well. The leader is yielding to you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You see, to avoid any confusion on our borders, that's why I'm probing into this matter seriously. Because if somebody is coming from any of these countries with their passports, holding their passports, so what do our immigration officers do when they show that passport? So to avoid that confusion, Mr. Minister, this matter shouldn't have been raised at all in Parliament here, because if you mix it up with the ECOWAS passport, they are ECOWAS nationals, you agree, free movement, everything. But let us tread cautiously when we are dealing with this issue because of the nature of the situation we are dealing with. And mind you, these countries seriously under threat from rebel activities, insurgencies, and all that. So we need to be very, very careful as a country. Thank you.
So it's a suggestion that we should tread cautiously. Majority Leader. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I have
we move to number 64.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the second opportunity. I am to ask the Foreign Minister whether the current government fully Article 4 and 4P of the AU Act, taking into account the relationship between government, military leader, and Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I can read the AU.
Member, a question has been admitted, and you are to ask the question. So please go ahead and ask the question.
I'm done. Thank you. Let me repeat it. I'm saying that I'd like to ask the Foreign Minister whether the current government fully subscribes to the Article 4 and 4P of the AU Constitution Act, taking into account the relationship between this government and the current military leader in the Burkina Faso.
Honourable Minister.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Article 4 on the principles of the AU Constitution Act states the Union shall function in accordance with the following principles: and respect for democratic principles, human rights, the rule of law, and good governance. Rejection of unconstitutional changes of government. The African Union position. As you may be aware, Mr. Speaker, re-emergence of all constitutional rule of governments in Africa has unfortunately been an occurrence in recent years, with military coups and takeovers gradually making a comeback on the continent. Africa continues to face the resurgence of political back to the efforts we have all made towards the achievement of Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. Towards the management of the by adopting a number of normative frameworks, such as the Constitutive Act of the AU 2000, the AU Protocol on Peace and Security, the Lome Declaration of July 2000, and the African Charter on Democracy, Election, and Governance. Frameworks and responses of the regional blocs and international organizations towards peace and stability in the continent continue to identify lapses, such as lack of conceptual clarity on the UCGs, varying application of sanctions and their outcomes, lack of a structured continental early warning mechanism for constitutional changes of governments, weak early response, insufficient human and financial resources, and coordination between the AU and the regional economic communities, among others, as contributing factors. Commission, in collaboration with the government of Ghana, sessions, the Accra Reflection Forum on Unconstitutional in Ghana. Deliberations explored issues in the Constitutive Act and critically assessed its relevance for the process of democratization in Africa, taking into consideration the political atmosphere on the continent at the time. The fora, amongst others, resharpened the strategies to promote constitutionalism and the rule of law towards entrenching democracy and inclusive governance for the overall enhancement of peace, security, and stability in Africa. The sessions also offered an opportunity to review the last reflection on the structural root causes in Africa and further review the continued relevance and effectiveness of various treaty-making frameworks at regional and continental levels, including the African Charter on Democracy, Elections. It is worth noting that the AU says that the Union shall function in accordance with the following principle: peaceful resolution of conflicts among member states of the Union through such appropriate means by the Assembly. In this regard, Ghana will continue to play a leading role in collective efforts to promote peace, stability, and economic development on the African continent. A principle of Ghana's foreign policy is to adhere to the principles of the charters, treaties, and international organizations such as UN, AU, ECOWAS. Ghana upholds the AU principles, including in Ghana's interaction interest is, among others, focused on enhancing security cooperation in the Sahel and West African region to combat terrorism, cross-border crimes such as illicit trafficking, smuggling, drug trafficking, as well as to improve trade and strengthen existing bilateral ties. Ghana continues to promote and protect the interests of Ghanaian nationals living in these three countries. It is worth noting that trade relations, particularly in agriculture products, continue to flourish between our areas of cooperation in sectors such as energy. Ghana intends to increase exports of electricity to Burkina Faso alongside enhancing the transit corridor for petroleum products. Burkina Faso recently acquired a fuel storage terminal, as both countries are considering extending existing pipeline from Bolgatanga to Ouagadougou to streamline fuel and diesel supply. The Volta River takes its source from the highland of Bobo Dialoso in Burkina Faso. The river is crucial to both countries with regards to water supply, agriculture, irrigation, hydropower generation, and remains essential to the livelihoods of our peoples. Government is also considering the introduction of a direct Accra-Ouagadougou flight with an airline in Ghana showing interest. On the security and stability front, as you the Sahel region, but also countries further down the coast. Ghana, having recognized the imminent threat, places priority on strengthening existing ties to find collaborative solutions to address this pressing regional menace. As such, there is the need to continue dialogue and reconciliation between ECOWAS, AU, and the Alliance of Sahel States. It should be noted that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama appointed former National Security Coordinator Lieutenant Colonel Larry Bevlolate as Special Envoy to the Alliance of Sahelian States in this endeavor. The appointment demonstrates the President's commitment to prioritizing regional security and diplomacy. He will act as a liaison between the government of Ghana and the Alliance for Sahel States and formulate engagements with member states of ECOWAS and the African Union. Mr. Speaker, upon assumption of office, His Excellency the President of the Republic indicated his intention to engage in pragmatic ways with our neighbors, in this case Burkina Faso. This is a cardinal foreign policy objective.
Honourable Member, any supplementary question? Honourable Member, any supplementary question?
With the coming into office of this current administration through a democratic means, would the current government condemn the coup d'etats in
Honourable Minister.
Well, thank you very much. Right Honourable Speaker, as I have emphasized all afternoon, we are in a very strategic period of dialogue, of engagements. We want to serve as a bridge. And when you are serving as a bridge, and already ECOWAS is looking up to Ghana, many of our nationals who are already traveling, moving, trading together want to see a united ECOWAS. You do not want to engage in blame game. You don't want to single out anybody for what may be perceived wrongly, and which will undermine our efforts at dialogue, at negotiations towards the aims and the objectives that we all want as a people, as a house. So I will recommend a different strategy. I do not think that what you are suggesting at this point will be helpful to the ongoing rapprochement, the engagements and the dialogue that is ongoing. I think that we should remain on this path. This is a path which is in our national interest and which will ultimately help our sub-region.
Any further supplementary question?
Yes, I submit that as a democratic country, we should not be seen to be encouraging coups in the sub-region. My next supplementary question is that, is there any cooperation between the AES, Russia, and the current government?
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, because the honourable member preceded his question with a remark, and this is being a house of records, let me state without any equivocation that the John Dramani Mahama administration will at no point be seen either overtly or covertly engaged in any effort that will undermine democracy. We remain committed to democracy, to the principles of rule of law, of good governance, and we want to state that for the record. And we will continue to be apostles and champions of democracy, particularly in the Africa region. Having said that, your substantive question about the role of Russia in AES and in Ghana. I can speak for Ghana. As Foreign Minister of Ghana, we are a non-aligned country. As we speak, we have diplomatic relations with Russia, with Ukraine, with the EU, with US, and with many other countries. There are some 73 and counting diplomatic missions here in Ghana. We also have diplomatic missions open in all of these countries, including Moscow, Kiev, and what have you. And we remain very cordial. What we have said is that we espouse the principles of self-determination, protection of sovereignty, and the rule-based order. So when our allies or friends violate this, we have been bold enough to criticize and to be principled in our position. That we will be unwavering. We will remain committed to the principles that we have always stood for. But remember that even under the previous administration, the Akufo-Addo government did not cut ties with Russia. There's still a Russian embassy here. They are operating. We have good relations with them. And our non-aligned posture, which allows us to be friends of all and enemies to none, will continue. I can confirm that. So in terms of the role of other countries, what I know is that we are pursuing our strategic national interests. No other sovereign will determine for us what is our national interest or will dictate to us. Nobody will dictate to us. So what we are pursuing is our national interest, and that I can confirm strongly.
Honourable Member, your last supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Honourable Bakwin, hold it.
Mr. Speaker, before his last supplementary question, just an observation. Mr. Speaker, and with utmost respect to you, if you look at the chamber at the moment, on their side, Mr. Speaker, there are 40, which is about 21%. We are 26, which is 30% of our number. Mr. Speaker, I just want to urge you, and so that you talk to the majority side. The minister responsible for finance is here to present and first reading of 8 important bills, and it is just about 21% of them that are in the chamber. It doesn't speak well of us, and we need to take government business serious. Mr. Speaker, tell them not to shout, because I'm not raising quorum. I'm drawing. Mr. Speaker, so I just want to urge the front bench that they should bring their numbers in, so that we'll take business serious, so that we can proceed on what we are doing. Rather than that, it doesn't. Mr. Speaker, as I rightly said, the majority side, they are 187. At the moment, they are 40, which is 21% of their number. We are 88, I have counted, and we are 26 now, which is 30% of our number. It doesn't make seats. So for that matter, they should try and come in there, so that the finance minister's important bills and first presentation and first reading, it can be done. Rather than that, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't speak well of this House. It doesn't speak well of this House, and we don't take our business, especially the majority side. It doesn't speak well of you, that you have 187 and you are less than 40 in the chamber. Mr. Speaker, with respect, I think you should direct the minority side so that they bring their numbers in, and then we can continue with the business. That is my prayer to you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Honourable Member, your last supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will rise to ask the minister what informed the invitation? What informed the invitation of the Burkinabe military ruler to the president's inauguration? I'm saying what informed the invitation of the Burkinabe ruler, military ruler, to the president's investiture.
Honorable member, your question is what? Minister, hold on. Minister, hold on.
I am asking the minister what informed the invitation of the Burkinabe military ruler to the president's investiture.
Honorable Minister, the question is accordingly overruled. Honorable members, the attention has been drawn to an absence of a quorum. I would urge the majority from bench to do the needful. Yes. Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for giving some directives to the majority front bench. The minority leadership is concerned, and those concerns were earlier raised by the Deputy Minority Whip. A parliament with a majority of 187 cannot only be majority on ceremonial days, cannot be majority only on ceremonial days. Mr. Speaker, yesterday I watched the swearing in for the deputy ministers and a minister of state. A lot of the MPs on the majority front bench were at the Jubilee House. They were there, it was all over on the TV. Your business is in this chamber, not Jubilee. Mr. Speaker, it is very important. It is very important. I saw a lot of them. I watched the TV and I can produce evidence, show you the video evidence. Mr. Speaker, you being in majority is not only by words, but by your action, your own attitude towards your own government business. And when we talk and you'll be shouting behind, honorable members of the majority, even now, your 40 has reduced. Mr. Speaker, it's a very serious matter, and I want to tell them that until you bring your numbers in, the Minister of Finance is not going to lay any paper. It's not going to happen. You are less than 40. You are not going to lay any paper because you don't have the quorum. So this is the time for you to bring your numbers. You do. You need quorum. Okay, all right. You are now talking law. You want to go to procedure. You want me to show you where we need quorum to start business? All right, very well. Go to the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the President has 4 more nominees to present for us to deal with. If that 4 is causing anxiety, then your duty is to prevail on the President to bring the 4. It's delaying. Is this anxiety that is even causing you to be absent in this chamber? It's left with 4. You said 60. The finance minister was here applauding the government that, oh, we promised 60 minutes, we've delivered. Where are the 4? Are you being indecisive? Agriculture, you said, you promised. Agriculture for transformation agenda. Go to page 152 of your budget, finance minister. Go to page 152. You promised 1.5 billion only to allocate 924 million Ghana cedis. What is your seriousness on agriculture? You are rendering the Minister of Agriculture redundant. And you don't come here to do business. Well, the finance minister
Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I would end. Mr. Speaker, I will be end. I will end. But we are not formally going to raise this quorum because we believe that the Minister of Finance, after presenting budget, must go through the necessary protocols so that this House can function. Deputy Majority Leader, today is your last. Your side must show seriousness. The NDC majority must show seriousness. We will let him lay his papers so that he can go back to the ministry. But this house is not for ceremonial days. Only sooner, then you come here. When it gets to budget, then you dress and come here. And then when it's left with government business, you don't want to come. Then you are all at Jubilee, negotiating for board, deputy minister, looking for appointments. Absent majority. And they won't even keep quiet. Where are your numbers? Where are your numbers? Where are your numbers? We need your presence in this chamber. We need your presence in this chamber. Echinasu tomorrow.
Honourable members, any supplementary question for the Minister for Foreign Affairs? I think you've asked your supplementary question. Very well, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Minister, Mr. Minister, with your approach that the NDC or this government.
Honourable members, order.
Honourable Dafeamekpo, please, if I may put my question.
Honourable Dafeamekpo, I will listen to you after him.
Okay. So, Minister, with the approach that this administration finds it difficult to condemn coup d'etats, don't you think that this will embolden would-be coupists to engage in coups in the sub-region, knowing that there are no consequences, especially when it comes to mere condemnation? If the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Ghana cannot just condemn coup d'etat, don't you think that that is going to embolden would-be coupists?
Honourable Minister.
I'm grateful. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, when these coups occurred more than a year ago, the position of ECOWAS, the position of Ghana, was made clear and well articulated. As a government, we have not departed from that position. We remain committed to the principles of democracy. The 1992 Constitution in Ghana enjoins all of us to be committed to deepening democracy. And our political tradition, is credited for bringing us this far in our democratic credentials. This is the longest dispensation of democracy under this Fourth Republic. since the 1992 Constitution was promulgated. And we are very proud of that, to have led those efforts. So our commitment to good governance, to rule of law, to democracy, to the rule-based order is not in doubt, and nobody can question that. What is happening now is, in pursuit of Article 40A, our strategic national interests, making sure that we create a bridge, a dialogue. Here we are faced with violent extremism, with terrorism. We need to share intelligence. We need to have bilateral engagements that will protect our territorial integrity. We need to make sure that the peace and stability of our country is protected. So we are engaged in a strategic dialogue, positive engagements that will lead towards the attainment of the goals and objectives that we all espouse. That is what we are doing in the strategic interest of our country and the people we serve. So this is not a period that requires, if you like, unguarded statements, bombastic statements, calling out people, attacking people. That will not help us. This is a period that requires diplomacy, that requires tact, that requires sober reflection. It requires a lot of wisdom and cautious rapprochement. That is what President Mahama is pursuing, and he is being applauded all over. Ultimately, this will lead us to deepening democracy in the region and making sure that our commitment, if I can be protected, Mr. Speaker. So our commitment to democracy, to good governance, to the rule of law is enhanced by the new engagements and the new channels of dialogue that President Mahama has opened. And I think that we need to join the global community in applauding the president for his tact, his leadership, the vision that he has brought to bear, which has made him the lead mediator between ECOWAS and AES. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of tact, a lot of maturity, a lot of vision to be able to achieve what President Mahama has achieved. And I think that we need to commend him for that. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Yes, Honorable John Jinapo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in answering the question, the minister talked about strategic dialogue. He also re-emphasized positive engagement and capped it up with wisdom and a sense of tenacity and purpose, and ensuring that good governance permeates all facets of society. Mr. Speaker, having re-echoed these positive commitments, I wish to find out from the Minister of Foreign Affairs whether His Excellency President Mahama and his government would consider extending these positive tenets beyond the West African sub-region and take across the world in the spirit of ensuring that there's good governance. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I commend the Honorable Energy Minister for his very important question. And Mr. Speaker, I can confirm that President Mahama will continue to bring these attributes to bear in his engagements with the rest of the world, even beyond the sub-region. Because, Mr. Speaker, the world is looking for leaders like President Mahama. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of inward-looking leaders, isolationist leaders who are only looking within. But President Mahama is a leader who has demonstrated that multilateralism, positive engagement, reaching out, working together, working collectively, that is what the world needs. That is what guarantees global stability. That is what guarantees global prosperity. So, Mr. Speaker, I can assure this House that this sterling quality, this very admirable posture of President Mahama will be brought to bear on the global stage, not only in the sub-region. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Habib.
Mr. Speaker, my question to the Minister responsible for Foreign Affairs. Just before the Minister responsible for Energy asked his question, in your answer, you said that President Mahama had been applauded by many countries. This is a house of record. Is there any evidence to that he has been applauded, or name the countries that have applauded him, individual people who have applauded him for that? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, if the Honourable Deputy Minority Whip was listening carefully, I had said that President Mahama is being applauded by many. I didn't say countries. So his question does not arise that I list countries. I said he's been applauded globally, applauded all over. And Mr. Speaker, evidence abounds. Those who have been reading the international literature, if you read the international media, you see analysts, you see pundits, you see experts, contributors who are all saying that.
Honorable John
President Mahama's approach, his very skillful and tactful approach, that is the way to go. And I've already told you that he has received invitations from a number of leaders on the continent to come and have discussions on the recent tour that he has carried out within the AES bloc. So there is no doubt that President Mahama is being applauded. Here in Ghana, if you follow even media reports, media reportage, he is being applauded by many for the skill, the tact, the maturity that he has brought to bear. And I know that deep down the hearts of my colleagues, they are also in awe. They are very proud of President Mahama's diplomatic prowess. I know that if they were allowed to admit that publicly, I know that they will do that. I'm thankful, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members' leadership.
Mr. Speaker, I have two questions. The respected Foreign Minister, in an earlier answer, said that there are world leaders who are inward-looking and are isolationists. And these are not the attributes of President Mahama. I want to know from him. This is a house of records. I want to know from him, who are these world leaders who are inward-looking and isolationists? Who are these world leaders who are in office now that he's referring to? Thank you very much.
Honorable Minority Leader, did he say the world leaders are in office now?
Mr. Speaker, please, respectfully, context. He asked, maybe I'll give you a background again, though we are all in this chamber. Honorable John Jinapo talked about the attributes of the president and asked whether beyond the sub-region, the president would go extend his diplomacy across the borders, beyond the borders of West Africa. The foreign minister, in an answer, observed that there are current world leaders who are isolationists and inward-looking. And these are not the attributes that President Mahama has. In his own words, maybe we can pause and call for the transcripts. That's what he said. It's not a matter of he related it to past leaders. Mr. Speaker, he contextualized it to refer to current world leaders. That is why I want him to bring clarity and let us know, because he's a foreign minister of the country, of our country. If there is any world leader who is an isolationist and an inward-looking leader, he is now dealing with world leaders. He should let us know so that we will be guided. That's the question to him. He said it, not mine.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the minority leader is right that I did use those words, and we are seeing a rise in isolationism and inward-looking leadership. But the minority leader knows that the good dictates of diplomacy does not permit me to mention names. It will not be in our strategic national interest to mention names. We all know we're describing the qualities of President Mahama. We are talking about his belief in multilateralism, his belief in the collective approach, his belief in reaching out, in making sure that we all work together as a people, and that once we are united and integrated, there is more we can achieve than being inward-looking and being isolationist. So I think the point has been made. It suffices for me to say that these are the two varying qualities, contradictory qualities. We are blessed to have a leader who has qualities of multilateralism, of positive engagement, reaching out, and working together. So I think that should suffice. We should not invite conflict or war upon ourselves. And I know that the minority leader is experienced in diplomacy and international relations, and it will not be good for this House to be listing leaders and trying to, if you like, pigeonhole them in a negative context, which will not be appropriate at this time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Your
Speaker.
next question.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with my respected colleague in part and disagree with him in part. Mr. Speaker, the metaphor created by him in his submission is entirely his. And I'm happy he says that we should not use the platform to mention names. However, I hold a view that he could have eloquently put out the attributes of President Mahama without the approach he adopted. To the extent that when he had the opportunity for the second time, he re-echoed that there is a current trend of isolationist leadership across the world. Obviously, this is a house of record. To the extent that you have anchored a submission on a trend, you are a diplomat. So if Mr. Speaker would agree with this prayer, I would pray that aspect of the submission be expunged. It's entirely your decision, and then we are here to help each other, not to isolate one another and think that pound him. That's not my style in politics. And he knows that I've been engaged in international politics for some time, proud to he assuming office. I believe that you can still talk about the attributes of your leader. You don't need to make that point. So I pray, Mr. Speaker, that portion, that there is a trend of isolationist leaders and inward-looking leaders across the group be expunged. If you don't want it to be expunged, that is entirely yours. I will move to my next question, which is my final though. Mr. Speaker, okay, Mr. Speaker, you may determine it before
you can proceed to ask the next question.
Very well. Mr. Speaker, my final question to my respected colleague. Mr. Speaker, he says that the president, as part of his multilateral diplomacy, that posture, thus far, he's received applause. And when he was pushed further, he said, well, the applause is coming from analysts, pundits, and contributors in the international tabloids, international media. Can the respected diplomats and member of this house give us these contributors by name, these pundits, which newspaper, which global newspaper, which tabloids, which dates, so that this house can fully apprise itself of these great attributes and join in celebrating our president and join him and others in celebrating the president. Mr. Speaker, that is my question, please.
Very well, Honorable Minister.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, just to address the first part of the minority leader's concern. The minority leader should be assured that the trends that I've spoken to are trends that have been openly discussed, for which even international organizations like the UN, the AU, have had sessions to discuss this trend. So there is nothing we stand to lose, even as a house. Actually, in the coming weeks, I will be bringing a statement here on that threat and what we can do as a house to be more resilient, because the requirement of what is going on now in the international arena is that African countries in particular, including Ghana, must fashion out new foreign policies that makes us more resilient, that makes us more self-reliant, so that we do not have to depend, because the global order has changed. And the tapestry of global leaders now are not the same as it was. And this is a fact that international organizations are discussing. So this, we shouldn't play ostrich about this, and we don't need to mention specific names, but these are facts. These are facts. Even in our budget this year, new allocations have been made to take note of the current global order, and that is a fact. The second part of the honorable minority leader's submission. The second part of the minority leaders, can the minority leader, I'm responding to you. I'm responding to you. The request by the minority leader is very much in order, and I'm willing to table that. I'll table all the links. There's VOA, there's Financial Times, there's Le Monde, there's New York Times. I'll table all of that and make all those articles available. So, Mr. Speaker, please be assured that is an exercise I'm very, very happy to produce. But, Mr. Speaker, on a lighter note, the minority leader and I, we like that. On a lighter note, I'm wondering where the minority leader was when his colleagues behind him were calling on me to condemn specific world leaders. Specific world leaders. They were calling on me to condemn them, and I stayed away from that. And he didn't advise them, but is now seeking to advise me. So it's quite interesting. Sometimes the double standards of the minority leader. But that's on a lighter note. It's on a lighter note. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, let there be order. Honourable Minority Leader, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In this House, we say that this is a House of records. So when somebody says something and it's not for the records, same cannot be relied upon to make a submission, whether seriously or on a lighter note. So I would want my respected colleague, although on a lighter note, to withdraw the submission to the effect that I approach matters with double standards. No, that is not me. I mean, Hansard, 30 years from today, 20 years from today, our kids will come and read Hansard. So we have to deal with matters of record. So,
Honourable Minority Leader, we know you are a man of single standard, not double standard.
No, Mr. Speaker, let's.
Double standard should be expunged from the record.
So, yeah, Mr. Speaker, I just want that to be done.
Yes,
so
that is what I have done.
Very well.
Yes,
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
that said, let me plead with our respected foreign minister. Although he says that he doesn't want to mention a name, which I agree with. But, Mr. Speaker, we are learning and will continue to learn. Doesn't he think that it wouldn't be too much for him to take away that phrase, a trend in isolationist leaders? Because, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, we are guiding ourselves as leaders. This is a serious matter, and I don't want our foreign minister to be cited in any tabloid to have said that yes, President Mahama has the attribute of reaching out beyond the borders of his country and even beyond the borders of West Africa. And he is not acting like the way other isolationist and inward-looking leaders are doing now. I think it's a bit on the hard side, especially when this House is not being given the opportunity to know who these leaders are. Can that one go off? Again, I think that it will be in the best interest of our foreign minister to take that phrase out. It wouldn't hurt. Just for the good of his own diplomacy. That's all I want to say.
Honourable Minority Leader, he even stated categorically that he may bring a statement to that effect, and it's a matter being discussed at the international scene. Honourable Deputy Majority Leader, any question for him?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, yeah, You've done with all the questions. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I think we've done with all the questions to the foreign minister.
You don't have a question for him?
No, I don't have a question.
Very well, very well. Honourable members, let me thank the minister responsible for foreign affairs for attending upon the House and providing answers to the substantive question and many supplementary questions. Honourable Minister, thank you very much. You are hereby discharged. Yes, Honourable Deputy Majority Leader.
Speaker, may we pray you to consider the items listed on the addendum, other paper addendum 2. I'm seeking leave of the Speaker. You are in disagreement, but I'm leaving it in the hands of the Speaker. It's yes, we are all laying. So yes, I'm doing my job.
Honourable members.
Yes.
The Finance Minister has been with us for some time.
Yeah.
May I plead with you so that we vary the order of business.
Oh, please, Mr. Speaker, this attitude of you have to stop this. It's not doing, no, please. You can't say that it's doing the front bench business for them. You can't do that. You cannot do that. You cannot do that, please. So, Mr. Speaker, that is why we are seeking your leave to vary, yes, and so that we move to addendum, other paper addendum 2, so the instruments can be laid in agreement with the leader on the other side, on the agreement with the other subject. We've already had agreement. We've already had agreement. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
The Finance Minister has been with us for some time now. Application has been made to vary the order of business to representation of papers.
Mr. Speaker, the Majority Chief Whip must learn the rules very fast as he's just in leadership. On which record did I say you are doing their bidding? On which record? Did I speak to the mic? On which record did I say that? So he cannot just be on his feet and allege that
Honourable Habib, I've heard you, Honourable Habib, I've heard you loud and clear that the Speaker is doing the work of the front bench.
He was speaking to the mic. Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Habib, though you didn't speak into the microphone, but I've heard you loud and clear that Speaker is doing the work of the front bench.
Mr. Speaker,
I've heard you.
Mr. Speaker, I have been on that side as a leader before. I have been on that side as a leader before. So, Mr. Speaker, I have been on that side and I have made several applications. So what I was seeking to tell you is that, Mr. Speaker, is to the effect that the Majority Whip, Chief Whip, was not even in the chamber when we start the discussion of this addendum paper. So on which you were not here. Yes, the Finance Minister have been here for some time, and the Finance Minister have engaged. The Deputy Majority Whip, Majority Leader had engaged on the addendum, which we don't have a problem. But the Majority Chief Whip was not here. So he cannot speak to it when he was not here, when we agree on that. On that note, Mr. Speaker, we have no difficulty in the Minister responsible for finance to do addendum 2. But Mr. Speaker, after raising the issue, you can see that, they are now here for that matter. Even though they are still not up to 91, they don't still have the numbers, but we don't have any difficulty on this. Thank you.
Honourable members, order. Leave is hereby granted at commencement of public business. Order paper addendum 2. Presentation and first reading of bills. Honourable members, item numbered A on the order paper addendum 2, electronic transfer levy repeal bill 2025.
An act to repeal the Electronic Transfer Levy Act 2022, Act.
Honourable members.
An act.
Very well. Repeat it.
An act to repeal the Electronic Transfer Levy Act 2022, Act 1075, and the Electronic Transfer Levy Amendment Act 2022, Act 1089, and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the bill is read the first time and referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and reports.
Mr. Speaker, if it will please you, even though you have referred the matter to the Finance Committee, if the leadership of or the entire Committee of Constitutional Legal can be attached to the Finance Committee, added to the Finance Committee, even though you referred it to the Finance Committee, but if the leadership of the Constitutional Legal, so that it could be a joint committee to look at this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable.
Speaker, I agree with the Honourable First Deputy Minority Whip to the extent that we join the leadership of the Committee of Constitutional and Parliamentary Affairs, not the entire committee, but the leadership of the committee.
Honourable members, these are purely financial bills. I wouldn't have a problem if the leadership of Constitutional Legal wants to assist the Finance Committee, but it should not be a formal referral to a joint committee. Honourable members, this is not the first time we are going through bills of this nature, so the referral to the Finance Committee should suffice. And honourable members, let me also place on record that it is after the presentation and the first reading of the bill that copies of the bill are distributed to members. Yes, Honourable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, two issues on this rising. The practice has always been that even before the minister brings such a major policy matter, he engages with the leadership of the House. The finance minister was a minority leader and also a majority leader of this House. You have not seen, and I don't even know whether it's you're bringing it under a certificate of urgency or you've gazetted. No. I want to find out. I need to know. Yes, it doesn't matter. I need to know. So at least I should know. Because, Mr. Speaker, if you look at his budget, because I'm concerned, you proposed some 1.5 billion to the Ministry of Agriculture. And then if you look at the expenditure, the allocation, you gave them 924 million. So these engagements help. You know, when you were the ranking, you could spot some issues and engage.
Honorable Minority Leader, I believe strongly that next week the budget is coming forward for debate.
Mr. Speaker, don't get me out of context, respectfully. Mr. Speaker, we are not debating the budget. But there are procedural matters that we need to bring to his attention. You are a man of procedure. Practices of this House must be respected. How does a minister bring a major policy issue? Leadership is not aware. He's only saying he engaged. So I've not seen it. The whole of yesterday, I was around. He has my number. I've been in the office. I've not seen it. And I'm seeing this the first time in this chamber. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable.
Yes, Honorable Finance Minister.
Mr. Speaker, today won't be the first time for a minister responsible for finance to lay a finance bill, either to repeal a bill or amend a bill. Mr. Speaker, I engaged the Deputy Minority Whip when I arrived in this House with the finance bills. At the time, the Honorable Minority Leader was not in the chamber. And I asked the Deputy Minority Leader that can I lay the following bills? Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Minority Whip is very much aware that we are laying the bills today. Mr. Speaker, I did the engagement even before the order paper was printed. Maybe my former colleague and my former friend, my former friend, now my brother, doesn't know the kind of engagement that we had. Mr. Speaker, I have now elevated him from my former, as a former friend to now brother. So he should understand that I did engage the caucus and he was not in the chamber at the time. He was not in the chamber at the time. Mr. Speaker, all what I seek to do is to lay these bills for the Finance Committee to be able to consider the bills. Nothing more, nothing less. Mr. Speaker, all what we are seeking to do is to relieve the burden on the ordinary Ghanaian. That is all what we are trying to do. That is all what we are trying to do. So, Mr. Speaker, if you permit me, I will lay this bill and you urge the Finance Committee to urgently consider this to relieve the burden on the ordinary Ghanaian. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minority Leader, few minutes ago, we listened to the Deputy Minority Whip to the effect that at the time discussions were being held, leading to the order paper addendum 2, Honorable Majority Chief Whip Roxanne Nelson Kwame Eche Dapamakwo was not even in the chamber. This is a testimony of the fact that some engagement has been carried out. So I will plead with the House. Let's make progress and lay these papers to be referred to the Finance Committee. Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I want Hansard to always record the accurate facts. I am not saying that there was no engagement. I haven't said that. And I won't be dishonest in saying that. What I'm saying is that beyond the engagement, you should have given us copies, discussed the copies. When I entered the chamber, the Deputy Whip informed me that you've had discussion with him. But he didn't have copies. And you concede on that indeed you didn't share with us. When I asked, you said the clerk at table had copies. All my argument basically is on the fact that we didn't get copies. Now, we had to draw Mr. Speaker's attention to your absence for you to come. And when you come to, you keep quiet to allow us to work. Mr. Speaker, so we will proceed to cooperate with the majority side for these bills to be laid. But for the finance minister to say that he wants to do this to relieve the ordinary Ghanaian of the pain he's going through. What he is not telling the ordinary Ghanaian is that these taxes are what this government is relying on to pay for fuel for ministers, to pay for expenses at the presidency. Look at the amount they allocated to the presidency. You are giving in excess of 2 billion to the presidency, and you gave only 50 million to the women in banking. And then your 24-hour economy policy is not even ready. And you say you want to relieve Ghanaians.
Honourable members, order.
Mr. Speaker, I don't want the finance minister to start his debates now. I don't want him to introduce any debate. He's here to lay his papers. He should lay them and go to the ministry in peace. Because the jobs he promised Ghanaian youth, he's telling us that this year there will be no employment. The youth who were in your party office looking for a job, what are you doing for them? What that Ghana for?
Honourable members, the item numbered A has been presented and referred to the Finance Committee. We now move to the item numbered B on the order paper addendum 2.
Mr. Speaker, please indulge me. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
you see,
Mr. Speaker,
Habib.
I know,
Habib.
Mr. Speaker, I know you said the referral. I know you said the referral is to the Finance Committee. Mr. Speaker, the majority.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, the majority chief whip also agreed to the fact that the leadership of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, these are laws that we are going to make. I know you are very passionate about that. And for us to make laws that we don't include the committee, that's for Constitution. So I don't think it will hurt Finance Minister, because these are laws that we are going to make. So if the leadership of this committee is added to
Honourable Deputy
it will
Whip.
be a problem. It won't
Honourable
hurt.
Deputy Whip. I have been to several committees as a member of Parliament to help them make laws without those bills being referred to us jointly. Honourable Deputy Minority Leader, was I not at a Gender Committee meeting to help in the Affirmative Action Bill as a ranking member for Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee? It was not referred to the Joint Committee, but I was there to help. There are instances where the bill will not be referred to a joint committee. Myself and Honourable Anyimedu will be at that committee level to be able to help the committee. By practice in this house, financial bills are not jointly referred. Yes, Honourable Anyimedu.
Mr. Speaker, I think it is without prejudice that this application is made. And I have the authority of the Chairman of Constitutional Legal, Honorable Shaibu Marhama, that this application be made, that at least leadership of Constitutional Legal be added. Mr. Speaker, since you have the authority to make the referral to the Finance Committee, as has always been done, and to add the leadership of constitutional legal. I think we are only formalizing this. And if we all agree, because these are laws and these are financial laws, I agree. But I think the leadership would assist the Finance Committee in coming out with good laws.
Honorable Anyimedu, the point that I am making is that by practice and convention, these bills are not jointly referred. However, the leadership of the Finance Committee is not prevented from joining the Finance Committee to do this bill. And I have used you and I, for instance. We've been to several committees to help them without the bill not be without the bill jointly refer.
But let me remind you that the affirmative action, Mr. Speaker, it was referred. It was so formally referred that constitutional legal, my style is not to join committee meetings when formally I'm not invited. So, Mr. Speaker, if you agree with me that what we are doing is to assist and make sure that the right things are done. So I'm only asking that this be made formal.
Honorable members, let us not belabor at this point. The bill is referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and reports. Item numbered B on order paper addendum 2.
An act to amend the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund Act 2014, Act 877, to remove the annual budget funding amount as a source of funding for the fund.
Honourable members, the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund Amendment Bill 2025 is presented and read for the first time and referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report. Item numbered C on order paper addendum 2.
An act to amend the Revenue Administration Act 2016, Act 915, to reduce the percentage of the total revenue that is set aside by the minister in the Ghana Revenue Authority General Refund Account and provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the Bill on Revenue Administration Amendment Bill 2025 is presented and read for the first time and referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and reports. Item number D.
An act to repeal the Emissions Levy Act 2023, Act 1112, and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the Special Import Levy Amendment Bill 2025 is read for the first time and referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report. Item number E.
An act to repeal the Emissions Levy Act 2023, Act 1112, and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the Emission Levy Repeal Bill 2025 is read for the first time and is referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report. Item numbered F on the order paper addendum 2.
An act to amend the Income Tax Act 2015, Act 896, to remove withholding on lottery winnings, remove withholding tax on purchases of unprocessed gold, and provide for other related matters.
Honourable members, the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2025 is read for the first time and referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and reports. Item numbered G on Order Paper Addendum 2.
An act to amend the Growth and Sustainability Levy Act 2023, Act 1095, to extend the sunset clause to 2028, increase the rates of levy from 1% to 3%, and to provide for other related matters.
Honorable members, the Growth and Sustainability Levy Amendment Bill 2025 is read for the first time and accordingly referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report. Item numbered H on Order Paper Addendum 2.
An act to amend the Earmarked Funds Capping and Realignment Act 2017, Act 947, by expunging the National Health Insurance Fund, Ghana Education Trust Fund, Road Fund, transfers to Ghana National Petroleum Corporation from Petroleum Revenue, Mineral Income Investment Fund, Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund from the schedule, and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the Earmarked Funds Capping and Realignment Amendment Bill 2025 is read for the first time and accordingly referred to the Finance Committee for consideration and report. Yes, Honorable Deputy Minority Whip.
Mr. Speaker, I rise under Standing Order 1633. And with your permission, I read. After the presentation of a bill, a member may ask the sponsor to offer a short explanation statement on the bill, and the sponsor shall comply. Mr. Speaker, and if you look at Order Paper Addendum, Item F, Income Tax Amendment Bill 2025. Mr. Speaker, if the minister can offer a bit of explanation to this, a bit of a background, because when the minister responsible for finance was reading his budget, and I think in I don't know whether it's paragraph 142,
so
when you are talking
Honorable
about
Minority,
Mr. Speaker, I
Honorable
want to
Deputy Minority Whip.
for my.
So you are requesting the minister to make a brief statement about the bill that is laid. Which particular one? Because the last one laid is Earmarked Funds Capping and Realignment Amendment Bill 2025. Is that what you are seeking the minister to give a brief?
Mr. Speaker, probably you didn't get me right. After referring to the specific order, I said Item F on Order Paper Addendum. That is the income tax amendment. And you know, when the clerk at table was reading it loud, they talked about the 10% withholding tax on winning of lotteries and other.
I will then proceed to give the floor to the Minister of Finance. Minister of Finance, just a brief statement on Income Tax Amendment Bill 2025.
Mr. Speaker, the amendment before us is seeking to remove the withholding tax on bet winnings. Bet winnings. The Speaker, as part of the NDC manifesto, we promised to remove withholding tax, being 10% withholding tax that was imposed by the previous administration, and that collection began in August 2023. What we are seeking to do is to remove the 10% withholding tax on all bet winnings, as promised as part of our manifesto. The Speaker, aside that, the same income tax amendment bill is seeking to remove the 1.5% withholding tax on all unprocessed gold from small-scale mining. That is what the income tax amendment bill is seeking to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
Thank you, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I just want to, that's the same income amendment bill. Minister, I want to refer you to your budget statement. You stated that we will abolish the 10% withholding tax on winning from lotteries, also known as betting tax. Is it the same thing, or is there any difference between that and the electronic one, also known as betting tax? Is it the same, or there are differences?
Honorable Deputy Minority Whip, you've referred us to Standing Order 163. Is that not so? Read Standing Order 163 for us to know what is expected of the minister. Okay, whether he should be answering questions at this stage or he should make a brief statement.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, as I refer you to the order 1633, and then it states that after the presentation of a bill, a member may ask the sponsor to offer a short explanation statement on the bill, and the sponsor shall comply. But therefore, Mr. Speaker, I was asking him because in his budget statement he said he's abolishing 10% withholding tax on lotteries winning, which has never been implemented anyway. So
that
is it
why,
different from
Honorable Habib, that is why I am engaging you to the effect that the standing order is giving the authority to a member to ask the minister after the presentation to give explanatory statement, which you did, and the minister has given you the explanatory statement. That ends it. Honourable members, I said severally that when the procedure is set down for a right to be exercised, it is that procedure that will follow in exercising the right. The very order that you stood on was very clear to the effect that if a member is desirous, can ask the minister upon presentation to give explanatory statement. And when that right has been exercised and the minister has given the explanatory statement, it doesn't open it up for questions. Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, you know you have a superior understanding of the law, and I appreciate it. What I think the member wanted to know was that the explanatory memorandum and the explanatory statement should have taken root from what the minister himself said in his budget statement. Mr. Speaker, yes, he has a right to give an explanatory statement, but that shouldn't be something unbeknown to this House. All that the Deputy Minority Whip is saying is that in your own budget statement, you made some commitment, and true to it, you have come under item F, Income Tax Amendment Bill. So in giving us an explanatory statement, his legitimate expectation is to the effect is that what you have said in the budget statement will be the basis for that explanation. You can't come to this House and tell us something new. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, you know, Dr. Forson was once a leader in this house, and he knows that when we were working together, there was no way I said anything outside of the records. He said he didn't say so. Let me refer him to his statement. Paragraph 141. Mr. Speaker, we will abolish the 10% withholding tax on winning from lottery, otherwise known as the betting tax. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of debate. Please, Mr. Speaker, this is a house of debate. A member must patiently listen, so that if you are opposed to my views, you rise in your seat. You know, from your seat where you belong, then you oppose me, Mr. Speaker. So the minority whip is not asking for a question. It's not asking the minister a question. Neither is he demanding something from the minister outside of what the minister has said. When we are enacting a law, we bring a bill. There is always this memorandum that gives a background to the bill. Mr. Speaker, what is the background to this item F? The background to it is that there was a certain tax by the previous government, which tax was implemented. Mr. Speaker, we can do the propaganda out there, understand. As politicians, we can do what we want to do. But when it comes to the facts, we cannot depart from them. The question is, Honorable Minister, this particular tax that you are seeking to amend, was it ever implemented? The very tax, the very one that you put in your budget statement, I want to know. So the deputy whip is only asking you to explain, and in explaining, you cannot go outside of what you have already told this house. That is his contention.
Honorable Minority Leader, you see, I will plead with the House, particularly the senior members of the House, that because of the attrition rate, we have a lot of new members, and there is a need for us to carry them along procedurally. We know as a fact that upon presentation of the bill or the paper, if the member or the minister presenting the paper is desirous of giving a brief explanation, he can do so. Or a member may request that explanation in line with Standing Order 163. Honorable Deputy Whip has exercised the option to request the minister to give that brief explanation. Honorable members, there is a difference between that explanation and a debate of the bill at second reading. When a bill is introduced and referred to the committee, just like what we have done, the committee will look at it, consider the bill, write a report. They will program the bill for second reading. It is at the second reading stage that the memorandum accompanying the bill, setting out the principle, the rationale behind the bill, the mischief that the bill is seeking to cure, it is at that stage that the bill will be debated. It is not at introduction of the bill that will do what we are seeking to do. At that particular level, you can raise all the necessary issues, but this one is just on introduction. So whatever brief explanation that the minister has given, I so hope that it satisfies the requirement under Section 163 of our own standing orders. Honorable members, let's make progress. Honorable members, let's come back to item number 7, statement. We have admitted statement on Ramadan fasting by Professor Hamza Adam, Member of Parliament for Kumbugu. Honorable Habib, you can go ahead and accuse me for doing the beat of the front bench of the majority.
Mr. Speaker, you know I have utmost respect for you. I will never say that. I will not say that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Member for Kumbugu, you have the floor. Honorable Member for Kumbugu, you have the floor. Second Deputy Speaker should take the chair.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to make this important statement.
Honorable Kumbugu, hold it. Yes, Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, with respect. Mr. Speaker, with respect. Normally, when you rule, a member is supposed to rise to extend courtesy. He was on his feet to extend courtesy. But Mr. Speaker, all you have are the 5 of us on both sides. All you have are the 5 of us on both sides. So please, we give a smile. Let's exchange pleasantries. There is no way Habib would undermine you. Mr. Speaker, if you say that, oh, he should go ahead and accuse you, he was getting up to thank you, that as the chair pleases. As the chair pleases. Because he wasn't coming to attack you. Mr. Speaker, we are in this together. And if he's your leader, and then there are backbenchers both sides, and then it's like, go ahead and accuse me, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that one I would plead with you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minority Leader. Honorable Member for Kumbugu, you have the floor. Second Deputy Speaker should take the chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to read this important statement. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Right, Honorable Speaker, it's with great pleasure
Yes. Mr. Speaker, the practice has always been that the member must share his statement. Once the Speaker ruled on this matter, that when the statement is admitted, he must share sufficient copies with colleagues. Mr. Speaker, let's not be departing from our practices and conventions. He is now sharing, and we don't have copies. How do we make meaningful comment on this? Mr. Speaker, second, the majority side of this House, Mr. Speaker, if you count them now, all their seats are empty. Yes, this is a house of record. We want to constantly remind you that you are making this a ceremonial chamber. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You only come into this chamber on ceremonial days. Look, count, you are less than 30 in this chamber. Currently, you are less than 30. You cannot be using the Jubilee House as your office. This is the Chamber of Parliament. You are always moving to the Jubilee House. The time has come for you to respect your whips. No, Mr. Speaker, you always want your chief whip to be chasing you before you come to the chamber. You always want your leaders to chase you. Why are you at the Jubilee House? You were first elected as a member of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the majority side must come into this chamber. We are going to raise quorum. You must come and work. Yes, because you want to go home. Because you want to go home. You want to go home. Look at all your empty seats. Mr. Speaker, you don't come here claiming that you are 187, yet you enter this chamber with 30-40. Mr. Speaker, on today is Thursday. On Tuesday, I observed something very disappointing. Honorable Doyo had to be chasing people to sign. Why do you make the work of your leaders difficult? You don't come to work. You must always be whipped before you enter the chamber to do your parliamentary work. Mr. Speaker, you currently are 41. You are not even up to 50. 41 of 187.
Well, leader.
Mr. Speaker, this is a house of records. Our rules and the Constitution must be respected. Mr. Speaker, they came into office promising jobs. Yet, they are not giving jobs. Mr. Speaker, there is a net freeze on employment. 3, Mr. Speaker, their own so-called 24-hour economy policy did not find space in the budget. These are matters that must engage the attention.
Leader, please, let me listen, I'll come back to you.
Let me conclude so that he comes in.
Okay.
Let me conclude so that he comes in. Mr. Speaker, besides, they don't come into this chamber. They are chasing for board appointment. The board appointments are for non-MPs. Those who didn't get MP, those who didn't get the opportunity. You want to be a board chairman. They are chasing for boards. When you are in opposition, Mr. Speaker, no MP should be on a board. Yeah, that is MPP.
Honorable members, please, we must at any point in time listen to one person. So you let him talk. After, I'll give the opportunity to somebody.
The chief whip. After that, your chief whip will also talk. Mr. Speaker, when we were in government, they criticized MPs serving on boards. Today, as a member of parliament on the majority side, your job is to come to the chamber and work, not to be at the Jubilee House chasing, saying that if you didn't get ministerial, they should consider you for a board. You are not going to serve on a board. Mr. Speaker, there are 4 more deputy ministerial nominees to be done. 4 more. Meanwhile, we have prominent women in this chamber who have been denied the opportunity to serve in government.
Leader.
What has happened to the affirmative action?
Leader. Thank
Mr.
you.
Speaker, I'm concluding.
Conclude.
What has happened to the affirmative action? You only appointed 10% women into government. Mr. Speaker, I can mention names of honorable members who worked so hard and today they've been left dejected, depressed and frustrated.
Leader, thank you.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Chief Whip, if he so desires, can respond to me. If he responds to me and there's a right of reply, I would exercise that right.
Honorable Majority Whip, can I beg you to, well, I don't know, I'm just saying, I want to beg him so that I can listen to Professor Hamza. Other than that, I'll give the floor to him. Fine. Honorable Dafiamopo, the floor is yours.
Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Speaker, this House, as leaders, we assist you to manage the House. And that management of the House also goes to the numbers. Yes. As we speak, committees have just been established, subject to some 1 or 2 further amendments. The leadership of the committees are proactive. They are meeting to consider programs for the session and the meeting. About 6 committees met today. Some are still in session. 2. So I deny the allegation that this side do not attend to proceedings. Indeed, we do. Mr. Speaker, you will notice that the minority leader is also depleted in terms of, yes, minority leader, please, may you listen to me in some silence. Speaker, so because his cliche is that this house is a house of records, so he wants everything to be borne by the records. Let the records bear that today, as we speak, 63 of his members have attended onto proceedings today and have signed the attendance sheet. 63. On our side, 165. They've attended to proceedings and have signed it. But some committees are as many as 25. Some committees, some are 17 on the average. So, Speaker, if you have 5 or 6 of those committees meeting, you speak of about 70 members who may not be present on the floor. So it's important that as leader, he is leader, it's important that some of these matters, it should go slow on them. This is about the 3rd time that he's raised the matter since appearing on the floor. He's been away for some time. For the greater part of today, he was not here. But as soon as he came, it's the politics of the numbers. I can grant him that. But he's done enough, so he should leave it. Then 2, Speaker, 2, we are not a ceremonial attendance to parliaments of the proceedings. We attend to do business. So it's also not true that my side, that my back, my members are trooping to the Flagstaff House for appointments or board appointments. It's also not correct.
So let the record not reflect that my members are not here because they are looking for appointments onto boards or opportunity to chair boards. We deny that. Mr. Speaker, it's also not accurate that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has appointed only 10% of women onto his government. That too is not accurate. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it's also not accurate that the 4 outstanding ministers of state who are supposed to be appointed is suffering some delay because of some other matter. It's not true. The power to appoint is inherent in His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He may do so with alacrity, and he will do it, Mr. Speaker. With these words, Mr. Speaker, may I urge my brother to allow us to take the 2 statements that we have agreed to take. And Mr. Speaker, let the record also reflect that the current minority leader was a famous board chairman of 2 very important state institutions. Very famous. Very famous. So we want to urge him that he should allow sometimes these matters to lie low. I thank you for the opportunity. Let's hear you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to make this important statement.
But, Honourable Member, having yielded the floor to you, you can now take the floor.
I'm guided, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Right, Honourable Speaker, it's with great honor, gratitude, and pleasure to be given this opportunity to make this important statement on the sacred month of Ramadan, fasting. Fasting is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and occurs in the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, Islamic lunar calendar. It entails abstaining from food, drink, and sexual relations from before light of dawn until sunset. It is an obligation on all Muslims to fast during the fasting month, Ramadan, and those who are unable to fast due to ill health should give charity or fast to make up after Ramadan. Allah the Most High says in the Holy Quran, quote and unquote, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, that you may have God consciousness. Mr. Speaker, fasting during the month of Ramadan is obligatory upon every Muslim, male or female, who fulfills the following conditions: to be mentally and physically fit, to have obtained the age of puberty and discretion, which is normally about 14, to have obtained the age of puberty and discretion, which is normally about 14. However, children under this age should be encouraged to practice, to be resident, not to be traveling on a journey up to 50 miles or more. In the case of women, to be free from menses or post-birth bleeding. Mr. Speaker, those who are exempted from fasting include the insane, children under the age of puberty, the elderly, and chronically ill person. For those, fasting is unbearable. A person in this category is required to feed one poor person for every day he does not fast in Ramadan. Pregnant women and nursing mothers who fear that fasting may endanger the lives or health of those of their fetus or babies. However, they are required to make up after the Ramadan. People in the course of traveling, but should make up for the days they do not fast later. Women during the period of menstruation or post-childbirth confinement, they should make up for the days they do not fast later. Mr. Speaker, fasting is done in accordance with the practices of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet, may Allah may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, strongly recommended the following: to make ninth meal close to the time of dawn prayer as possible, to break the fast as soon as one is sure that the sun has set, to say the prayer that the Prophet, may peace be upon him, used to say at the time of breaking his fast, to avoid any act that is contradictory to fasting, to do good deeds, especially observing special night prayers immediately after Isha prayers, Quran recitation, remembering of Allah via his beautiful attributes and names, giving of charity, among others, abstaining from food, drink, smoking, and sexual intercourse with one's wife from dawn till sunset, abstaining from evil tongue and actions. On the authority of Abu Huraira, the Messenger of Allah, may peace be upon him, said, whoever does not give up forged speech and evil actions, Allah will not accept his fasting. Mr. Speaker, charity is one of the key things our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may peace be upon him, said, may peace be upon him, employed to create a balance between the able and less privileged. Therefore, Muslims are encouraged to intensify giving of charity during Ramadan. Prophet says the best charity is given in Ramadan. Mr. Speaker, seeking blessings from the night of power, Laylatul Qadr, in Ramadan is the most virtuous night in the year. Almighty Allah says in the Quran, quote and unquote, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatul qadr, wama adraka ma laylatul qadr, laylatul qadr khayrun min alf shahr. We have indeed revealed this message in the night of power, and what will explain to thee what the night of power is. The night of power is better than 1,000 months. It was narrated by Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, whoever stays up and prays during Laylatul Qadr with faith, out of faith, and in the hope of reward, in his previous sins will be forgiven. To this end, every Muslim should strive and not to miss the opportunity of obtaining multiple rewards in these days. It is highly recommended that all Muslims should draw nearer to Allah to get blessings of Laylatul Qadr in the last third of Ramadan. To this end, Mr. Speaker, I call on all Ghanaians to extend supporting hand to our Muslims engaged in fasting by showing kindness, understanding, tolerance, and solidarity. May the Almighty Allah accept our Ramadan and grant all of us our heart desires. I wish all Muslims a blessed Ramadan. May Allah bless us all. I'm most grateful, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, let me go to Ejula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for this opportunity, and let me use this opportunity to wish all our Muslim brothers Ramadan Mubarak. Ramadan, or fasting, is one of the pillars of Islam. Usually, it's always carried out in the 9th lunar month of every year, which is the Ramadan. As eloquently narrated by the maker of the statement, Allah enjoins us in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 18 to 3, verse 1 to 3, to fast in the month of Ramadan. And Ramadan has both spiritual and health benefits. Spiritual benefits in the sense that it's a time that one gets closer to Allah. It's a time that every day of the month, one is supposed to fast from dawn to night, and also to be self-disciplined. Because if you set out and you fast, there's nobody to check whether you are fasting or not. But you yourself, you have to be self-disciplined and ensure that at least you abide by the dictates of their religion. There's no compulsion when you are not in a position to fast. There are avenues or there are ways that you can atone for not being able to fast, like if you are on a serious journey. But these days, in this modern age, I don't think those things still exist now. Because in this modern age, we travel on cars and in aeroplanes. And it was during the previous era that if people are not able to journey on let's say automobiles, that you are exempted from fasting. But even with that, you pay up immediately Ramadan finishes. Also, lactating mothers and then also pregnant women are exempted from fasting. This is to ensure that at least it doesn't go against their health. Let me emphasize on the need for, on the significance of the last 10 days of Ramadan. It is in the last 10 days that it is believed that we have the night of power, which is the Laylatul Qadr, where it is said that it is as important more than the rest of the nights in the year all round. And that's the day that is found in the last 10 days. So because no one knows the exact date, but at least it's between the odd dates, between either the 21st, the 23rd, the 25th, or the 27th night. And so we are enjoying that at least in the last 10 days, we intensify our prayers and also ensure that at least we stay throughout the night and pray so that we get the benefits of the night of power. And it is also a month where every Muslim is enjoined to do a lot of good deeds and to also give to charity. And Islam is such that at least at the end of the fasting, which is when we're having our the Eid al-Fitr, before the Eid al-Fitr, it is enjoined that at least a day or at the dawn of Eid al-Fitr, we perform the Zakat al-Fitr, which is giving out of food to the needy, so that at least on the day of the Eid, they can also have something to also feed on.
Thank you.
So if you look at the
Thank you. Yes, wind
in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that Islam is not a religion of compulsion. It's a very flexible religion. It is not, it is as and when you are fit to do fasting that Allah enjoins you to do it. If you are not fit, there are prescriptions where you can atone for the days that you have not been able to fast. And let me use this opportunity to once again wish our fellow Muslims the best of the season, which is Ramadan. May Allah accept our fasts and may Allah forgive us our shortcomings.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, please, it's just an indulgence I'm creating from you. Let's keep the comment quite brief so that we can indulge other members. We equally have a lot of statements here. So once I give you the floor, please try and keep it safe. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for permitting me to contribute to the beautiful statement by Professor Hamza. Mr. Speaker, as Professor rightly said, fasting in the month of Ramadan is observed by Muslims all over the world. And it is compulsory to get involved. But Allah does not burden any soul beyond its capacity. And that is why Allah gave some exemptions to pregnant women, old age, and children under puberty age. Mr. Speaker, the significance of this fasting, as my brother rightly said, has some spiritual and health benefits. The spiritual benefits include connecting to your Creator. If you can all observe that during the month of Ramadan, we normally do away with the social vices that we engage in, only to do good deeds. And Mr. Speaker, it is gratifying to note that in the month of Ramadan, Allah enjoins believers. That's why there's a word he used in the Holy Quran, that Ya ayyuha lazina amanu. Allah talks to believers to observe the fast. The fast is observed for a fixed number of days, either 29 or 30, depending on the sighting of the moon, and then ending it with a sighting of the moon in one's country. The health benefits are a lot, but if you read the whole Quran, you come to a point that Allah says you should fast, and if only you know that there are benefits at the end of the fasting. The health benefits include reduction in cholesterol, weight loss, it lowers your sugar level, and a whole lot. It even takes off the risk of getting cancer, according to the whole Quran and the commentary that goes with it. So, we enjoin every Muslim all over the world to try as much as possible to do some fasting, take part in the fasting in the month of Ramadan, so that the benefits that are accrued and highlighted by the whole Quran, you all enjoy that benefits. Mr. Speaker, it is also gratifying to note that as we exempt ourselves from food and drinks and sexual relations, we normally know the impact of exempting yourself from food and drinks. And for that matter, it permits us, and then Mr. Speaker, it permits us to embark on charity so that Allah gives us the blessings that goes with it. So, Mr. Speaker, at the end of the fasting, the whole fasting month, at the end, we get righteousness. The underlying fact is that we fast to become righteous. So we enjoy everybody to be involved so that he will attain righteousness. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Once again, my appeal to you to be very brief. Yes, my brother. Adam, you are not a Muslim. Let him give it.
Thank you,
yes,
Speaker.
My brother, yes.
Let me comment the maker of the statement. I will move away from the religious obligation that imposes us to fast for a period of 30 days. Islam, as it means total submission to the will of Allah. During the month of Ramadan, one critical observation that is often observed across the globe, most especially Muslim-dominated communities or Muslim countries or Islamic countries, is the respect for social norms, laws, and reduction in crime rates. Because we intend to be holy for a period of 1 month. So at that stage, you won't be seeing stealing, killings, and all other social vices. So I think that it's a reflection we must observe as Muslims to know that this is the purpose of our creation. That is how God wants us to be. It shouldn't just end when fasting is over. And we must redefine the notion out there or the perception about Muslim youth in terms of radicalism, in terms of most criminal activities. So I think that Islam affords us the opportunity in periods like this to show the other side of ourselves. It's also good in terms of economic welfare redistribution or income redistribution. That is the only time you see levels of inequality reducing, because it's the best period for charity. Last year, I observed Umrah in Mecca. And what I observed was that on your way from Maghreb to your hotel, you see people sharing food, clothes, money. That is a period where income really flows from the rich to the poor in order to fulfill the Islamic order. And finally, I also want to join call on every well-meaning Ghanaian, not necessarily Muslims, to show love, solidarity, as we also do in periods of Easter, Christmas, and also the traditional religion performances. On that note, I once again thank the maker of the statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also want to associate myself with the...
He's fasted.